When the Council first contacted Earth, the message came as a whisper across the stars, calm, polite, and filled with promises of peace. It was supposed to be the greatest moment in human history. For the first time, humanity wasn't alone. But hidden behind that message was something the Council didn't understand. They had awakened something ancient, something buried deep in human instinct. The first broadcast appeared one night over every screen on Earth. A blue symbol shimmered across televisions, phones, even digital billboards. Then a voice followed, gentle and almost melodic. "People of Earth," it said, "we are the Galactic Council. We come in peace. We bring knowledge, unity, and safety. Your world will be guided toward harmony." Most people were amazed. Others were afraid. But everyone watched. Dr. Elena Rourke, a linguist working at the Global Listening Station, was the first to notice something strange. The Council's words carried a tone she couldn't explain, something hidden in the structure of the message. When she slowed it down, it sounded like a hum, almost like an animal growl. Her assistant, Tom, laughed nervously. "It's probably just distortion," he said. But Helena shook her head. "No. This is deliberate. It's layered beneath the words." By morning, the world had already changed. The Council's ships appeared in orbit, silver, smooth, and silent. No weapons, no visible threat. They simply floated there, watching. The United Nations opened contact channels. Humanity celebrated. The Council spoke again. "You are safe now. War, hunger, and pain will soon be gone. Allow our guidance." But something about that sentence made soldiers and scientists feel cold. The word "allow" didn't sound like a suggestion. It sounded like an order. Elena stayed in her lab, replaying the message over and over. Each time she heard that faint growl under the voice, she felt her pulse quicken. Her mind filled with flashes of old documentaries, predators hunting in silence, lions in the tall grass, wolves circling prey. For reasons she couldn't explain, her body reacted with fear and readiness. She wasn't alone. Across the planet, others began to feel it too. Soldiers reported strange dreams, blood, teeth, and running through forests. Civilians felt restless, alert, even violent. Something in humanity was stirring. 3 days later, the Council made its first demand. "All weapons of war must be destroyed," the broadcast said. "Peace requires obedience." Most governments agreed immediately. The Council offered new technology, clean energy, cures for disease. But others hesitated. Something about the way the alien voice said obedience made even the calmest leaders pause. Then came the disappearances. At first, only small groups, scientists, engineers, and soldiers, vanished during meetings with the Council's envoys. The aliens said they were being re-educated for peace. But families never heard from them again. That was when humanity began to remember what it truly was. Elena joined a group of underground scientists called the Resistance Network. They believed the Council wasn't here to guide Earth, they were here to control it. Tom whispered one night, "Do you think we can fight them?" Elena's eyes were cold. "They think we've forgotten what we are." "Which is?" She smiled faintly. "Predators." Somewhere deep under the Nevada desert, soldiers began building secret facilities. They called it Project Instinct. The idea wasn't to make new weapons, it was to understand the strange reaction humans were having to the Council's presence. Heart rates rising, reflexes sharpening, adrenaline surging. It was like evolution itself had woken up. Every hour, the alien ships sent calming waves of energy toward Earth. People who stayed near them felt sleepy, peaceful, obedient. But the ones who resisted, like Elena and her team, felt the opposite. The Council's influence made them stronger. When the aliens finally sent their first peace envoy to the surface, the world watched live. The creature was tall, thin, and silver-skinned, with eyes like liquid glass. It smiled as it stepped from its ship, its voice echoing through the air. "Peace will come to you," it said. But the moment it spoke, soldiers nearby froze. Not in fear, but in something primal. Their muscles tensed. Their hands shook. They didn't know why, but every human watching the broadcast suddenly felt it too. Their hearts pounded. Their breath quickened. Predator instinct. Something deep in their DNA screamed that this being was a threat. Not prey. Not equal. Prey. The alien smiled wider, unaware of the danger it had awakened. In the control room, Elena stared at the monitor, whispering to herself, "They think we're soft. They think we've forgotten how to hunt." Outside, crowds gathered under the alien ship. Cameras flashed. People cheered. And yet, among them, something was changing. Tiny, invisible, spreading like wildfire. Eyes dilated. Muscles tightened. Minds sharpened. The council had come to bring peace. But they had just reminded humanity what it was built for. And it was already too late. For a week after the first peace envoy landed, the world tried to pretend everything was normal. News anchors smiled on camera. Politicians shook hands with the tall silver beings. The council promised a new age of calm and order. But underneath the surface, humanity was changing. People slept less. Dreams grew sharper. Memories of fear, chase, and survival. Parents woke up sweating. Soldiers stopped feeling tired. Even children became strangely alert, staring at the sky as if they could sense something watching them. In the desert base where Project Instinct had begun, Dr. Elena Rourke watched soldiers train. They were faster now, more aware, almost animal in movement. Tom stood beside her. "They don't even breathe the same anymore," he said quietly. Elena nodded. The council tried to calm us. Instead, they triggered something deeper. It's like evolution itself turned back on. She studied one of the soldiers through a glass window. He was running a maze filled with flashing lights and simulated threats. His reactions were instant, almost supernatural. Tom leaned closer. "Do you think this will save us?" Elena didn't answer. She looked up at the ceiling, where the hum of the alien ships could be faintly heard even underground. "They think we'll obey," she whispered. "But predators don't obey prey." Meanwhile, above the planet, the council watched from orbit. Their meeting hall was a silent sphere filled with cold blue light. "They are resisting the harmony field," said one of the envoys. Its voice echoed like metal scraping glass. "They cannot resist," another answered calmly. "Primitive instincts always fade under control." But the first envoy showed a screen. Human heart rates, energy levels, aggression, all climbing higher every day. Their biology adapts. Their aggression grows stronger, not weaker. The council members went still. For thousands of years, they had ruled the galaxy through peace and obedience. No species had ever resisted. Until now. One voice finally spoke. "Increase the frequency. If they do not yield, we will begin the cleansing." Back on Earth, the first signs of open control began. Cities were filled with strange devices, glowing towers built by alien drones. They released soft waves of light that made people calm and passive. Governments called them peace pillars. People who stayed near them became quiet and docile, smiling without emotion. But far from the cities, in forests and deserts, humans gathered, the ones who stayed awake. Soldiers, scientists, hunters, and ordinary citizens who felt the instinct burning inside. They called themselves the Awakened. Every night, Elena and her team sent secret messages to these groups. She couldn't use normal communication. The council monitored everything. Instead, they used something older, shortwave radio, Morse code, even hand-delivered notes. Humanity had gone backward in technology, and forward in instinct. One evening, while Elena worked on decoding an alien signal, Tom burst into the room, pale and shaking. "They're here," he said. One of their ships landed near the base. Alarms blared. On the screens, a silver craft hovered silently over the desert, surrounded by dust. Elena grabbed her bag. "Evacuate the lab. Take the data pods." Tom hesitated. What if they find us? She looked at him with calm, steady eyes. Then they'll finally see what they created. Outside, the soldiers waited. The ship's door opened, and a council envoy floated out. Its eyes glowed faintly blue. It spoke in a perfect human voice. People of Earth, it said, you are under the protection of the council. Violence will no longer be tolerated. Disarm, and you will not be harmed. The commander beside Elena whispered, Permission to fire? Elena didn't answer immediately. The alien's calm voice rolled through the air like smoke. The soldiers twitched, their hands trembling. Some felt the urge to drop their weapons, but then the instinct surged again, deep and powerful. Elena finally nodded once. Do it. A single shot cracked across the sand. The alien fell, its silver body twitching as a strange blue liquid spilled into the dust. For a moment, no one moved. Then the soldiers began to breathe again, fast and heavy. The alien's body shimmered and dissolved into mist. Tom stared. We killed it. Elena shook her head slowly. No. We just told them we're done obeying. That night, across the world, something changed. The peace pillars flickered. The calming waves weakened. People woke up, confused, angry, aware. The council's control began to slip. And in the orbiting ships, alarms rang. The humans have broken the harmony field, one envoy hissed. Another turned slowly toward the viewing screen, where images of armed humans filled the feed. They are adapting faster than expected. The eldest member of the council spoke softly, almost in disbelief. They remember what they are. On Earth, Elena gathered the resistance leaders through a scrambled channel. Their faces appeared one by one, rough and determined. A soldier from Russia said, If we attack, they'll destroy us. A pilot from Brazil replied, If we don't, we become their pets. Elena's eyes were cold and focused. They woke something inside us they can't control. They think they understand peace. But they don't understand hunger, fear, or instinct. That's what makes us dangerous. She leaned closer to the camera. The hunt begins. The next day, all over the planet, lights began to fall from the sky, pieces of alien machines crashing through clouds. The council was striking back. But humanity didn't hide. They ran toward the falling fire, not away from it. Because for the first time in history, every human, from the poorest farmer to the highest general, felt the same thing, the pulse of the hunt beating inside their chest. And somewhere in the stars, the council finally realized the truth. They had not come to guide a fragile race. They had come to face predators who had been sleeping for too long. And now, humanity was awake. The sky burned red over the cities. Alien ships fell like silver rain, crashing into skyscrapers, streets, and forests. Waves of panic should have swept the population, but they didn't. Instead, people ran toward the chaos. They were the awakened, and instinct had sharpened every sense. Eyes adjusted instantly to smoke and sparks. Hearts beat like drums. Muscles moved faster than any human should. In the Nevada desert, Elena watched the horizon as a council cruiser descended. The metal craft gleamed, reflecting the fire below. Soldiers crouched behind rocks, guns trembling in their hands, but Elena didn't need weapons. Listen, she said quietly. The council wants us to react with fear. Don't. Let them see what we are. Tom swallowed, sweat dripping from his forehead. But they're huge, and armed. Elena's eyes glinted. So are we. The council ships moved with precision, firing energy pulses that disintegrated concrete and glass. But the humans were no longer ordinary. They ran, ducked, and weaved through destruction like predators in the wild. When one energy beam came too close, a young soldier leapt, twisting midair to avoid it, and launched a counterattack. He didn't fire a gun. He threw a sharp-edged piece of debris with perfect accuracy. It struck the ship's hull. Sparks rained down. That's impossible, Tom muttered. Elena shook her head. Not impossible. Evolution. Above the chaos, the council convened. Their main ship, a massive orb of polished metal, hovered silently. "They are adapting faster than we predicted," one envoy said. Its tone was tight, almost anxious. The eldest member of the council frowned. Primitive instincts, rekindled. They were dormant, but not gone. "This is unprecedented." Another envoy spoke sharply. "Increase firepower. Use containment waves." But even as they commanded, human instincts reacted faster than their technology. Soldiers dived, ran, climbed, and improvised with raw precision. Civilians helped each other, forming defensive formations. Hunters, athletes, and even children moved like coordinated predators. The council had underestimated one thing: humans had learned to survive through fear and fight through instinct. Elena led a small team through the wreckage. Sparks from fallen lines of alien energy arced across broken streets. The air smelled of burnt metal and ozone. "Where are we going?" Tom asked. "To their control hub," Elena replied. "If we take it down, we can disrupt their ships." Tom's jaw dropped. "Are you insane?" Elena smiled faintly. "I'm a predator." They moved like shadows, slipping past patrol drones that hovered silently. Elena's instincts told her where each one was before she saw it. She ducked, rolled, and leapt with precision, dodging beams that would have killed ordinary humans. When they reached the hub, they found it surrounded by alien constructs. Machines hummed, sensing motion, scanning for life. Elena crouched behind a ruined wall. "We can't go in guns blazing. We need their attention, and then strike smart." She signaled the others. Soldiers dispersed, making noise in opposite directions. Drones turned to investigate. In seconds, Elena slipped inside the hub. Inside, the control room was massive, filled with holographic screens and alien machinery. The main console pulsed with blue light. She approached, feeling the energy thrumming under her fingers. "This is it," she whispered. "The heart of their operation." A sudden sound froze her blood. The hiss of an alien entering the room. She ducked, heart pounding, muscles tensed like a coiled spring. The alien moved slowly, confident, unaware that the humans it underestimated were awake. Elena's mind raced. Every predator instinct, every reflex, guided her. She grabbed a loose metal rod and swung it with perfect timing. The alien stumbled, its blue liquid leaking from a cracked joint. In a blur, she lunged again, striking the console's main panel. Sparks exploded. Screens went dark. Above, energy pulses in the city faltered. Ships trembled. Drones dropped from the sky. Tom's voice crackled in her earpiece. "You did it. Systems are down." Elena gritted her teeth, scanning the room. Another envoy approached, alerted by the noise. Without thinking, she leapt onto a console, flipped switches, and caused a chain reaction that overloaded the hub. The explosion rocked the building. Smoke and fire filled the air. Elena and her team rolled out, barely avoiding falling debris. Outside, they looked up. Alien ships faltered, some spinning out of control, crashing into the desert. Tom laughed, breathless. We actually did it." Elena smiled, but it was sharp, predatory. "No. We didn't just survive. We reminded them who we are." That night, the awakened gathered across the world. Cities burned, but humanity had changed forever. People moved with new confidence, instinct guiding their actions. Leaders of the resistance communicated through hidden channels. They weren't hiding anymore. They were hunting. And somewhere in orbit, the council realized their mistake. The humans they had seen as fragile, obedient, and primitive were no longer prey. They were predators. Elena stood on a ruined rooftop, looking at the horizon. Smoke rose in all directions. Fires burned, but the humans were alive, awake, and dangerous. She whispered, almost to herself, "This is only the beginning." And somewhere deep in the stars, the council began to plan. Because they had underestimated one truth that humans carried in their blood, in their minds, in their hearts. When predators awaken, nothing can stop them. The night sky was alive with fire. Alien ships hung in the air like silver predators, wounded but still deadly. Fires burned across cities and deserts, but humanity was no longer panicked. They moved with purpose, guided by instinct, survival, and a new sense of power. In a hidden base beneath the Rocky Mountains, Elena and the leaders of the resistance gathered around a holographic map. Lines of red marked alien positions, blue indicated human strongholds. The room was tense but focused. "This is our chance," Elena said, her voice low and sharp. "They're strong, yes. But they're afraid. They've seen what happens when humans remember who they are." A soldier from India leaned forward. "Their orbitals can still wipe us out in minutes. If we attack, we risk everything." Elena shook her head. "Not if we attack smart. We don't need to fight all of them. We need to make them feel the hunt." Tom frowned. "You mean, go on the offensive?" She smiled. Predatory. "Exactly. It's time they understand fear." The resistance had spent days preparing. Every human involved had sharpened their instincts. Scouts moved silently through cities, tracking alien patrols. Soldiers practiced moves that mimicked animals, stalking, ambushing, feinting. Civilians became messengers and lookouts, passing information faster than any council technology could intercept. When the first attack began, it was silent. Elena's team moved under the cover of darkness toward a council supply hub near the coast. Drones hovered overhead, scanning, but humans adapted instantly. Shadows became allies. Sounds were tracked. Every step, every movement, became precise and deadly. They reached the hub and froze. 2 envoys guarded the entrance, tall and elegant, their silver bodies glowing faintly in the moonlight. "Take them down quietly," Elena whispered. "We need their tech intact if we want to learn it." Tom's hand shook, but he nodded. A soldier leapt forward, silent as a cat, knocking one envoy unconscious with a sharp strike. Elena moved like a shadow, using momentum and instinct to disable the second. Inside, they found the tech humming, floating panels, glowing conduits, and alien energy cells. Elena smiled. "This is our advantage." Back in orbit, the council watched in disbelief. "They've attacked a supply hub," one envoy asked, voice trembling. "How is this possible?" "They're adapting," said another. "Their instincts, they're perfecting them in real time." The eldest member of the council rose, voice cold and precise. "Then escalate. Bring every remaining orbital ship down. Humanity must submit." But even as they spoke, humans were already striking again. Across the world, resistance teams sabotaged supply lines, freed captured civilians, and learned to predict the aliens' moves before the council could respond. Predators don't wait. Predators hunt. Elena led her team back toward the mountains, carrying datapods filled with alien schematics. The desert was quiet, almost too quiet. She knew instinctively that they weren't alone. Tom hissed, "Did we trigger something?" Elena didn't answer immediately. She felt the vibration in the air before she saw the massive shadow, an alien war drone, bigger than any they had encountered, descending silently. Its sensors glowed, searching for heat and motion. Elena's eyes narrowed. "Split up. Make it think we're scattered." They ran, ducked, and rolled through the sand. The drone's sensors flicked rapidly, and then, human instincts acted faster. Soldiers launched rocks, set traps, and dodged perfectly. The drone stumbled, caught in a makeshift pit, and Elena struck the final blow with a metal rod. Sparks flew, and the desert was quiet again. Tom stared. It worked. "We killed it." Elena grinned, blood and sand on her face. "No, Tom. We didn't just kill it. We reminded them humans are hunters." That night, the resistance celebrated quietly. News channels were silent. The council still controlled most media. But humans whispered to each other in hidden networks, spreading hope and strategy. Elena addressed them through a secure channel. This is only the beginning. Every ship we destroy, every hub we take, teaches them fear. And fear is something they've never truly known. Her words were sharp, confident, and hungry. They weren't just inspiring. They were a warning. The council convened in panic. They are no longer predictable, one envoy said. Every strike, every move, it is precise, and they learn instantly. The eldest member's eyes narrowed. They were meant to be passive. They were meant to obey. Instead, they are predators. And predators cannot be tamed. Another voice whispered, almost fearfully, "What do we do if they strike the main fleet next?" The eldest member paused, cold and calculating. "Then, we prepare for a war we never thought possible." On Earth, Elena watched the horizon from a cliff overlooking a burning city. Fires reflected in her eyes, but she didn't flinch. Humans were awake, and their instincts were alive. She turned to Tom. "The council thought they could control us with fear and calm. They don't understand humans. We fight, we survive, we adapt. And now, we hunt." Tom swallowed hard. "Do you think they can lose?" Elena's grin was sharp, predatory. "They already are." And somewhere above the planet, the council realized a terrifying truth. A species they considered fragile, obedient, and primitive, had become the deadliest predator they had ever faced. The night sky burned brighter than ever before. Alien cruisers hung over the oceans, their silver hulls reflecting the flames of human cities below. For weeks, humanity had been striking back in scattered, precise attacks. Now, it was time for something bigger, a full-scale counterattack. Elena stood on the deck of a commandeered military ship, overlooking the waters. Around her, soldiers, engineers, and civilians who had learned to fight side by side moved like a single organism. Every eye was alert. Every muscle ready. Tom leaned beside her, nervously checking weapons. "Do you think we can do this? There are hundreds of them above us." Elena's eyes glinted. "We're not just fighting them. We're teaching them something they've never known: fear." The plan was simple but deadly. Human strike teams would attack the cruisers simultaneously, targeting weak points discovered from Elena's earlier raids. They would use technology where necessary, but mostly, they relied on instinct, speed, coordination, and unpredictability. As the first ships descended, humans moved silently through the shadows. Drones scanned the beaches, but they were no match for the hunters who had learned to anticipate every movement. Soldiers sprinted, leapt, and rolled, their reflexes sharper than any machine. Elena led the main team toward the central cruiser. Its massive engines glowed blue, humming with power. The council's envoys inside were confident, expecting humans to flee in terror. But they had miscalculated. Inside the cruiser, the atmosphere was tense. Envoys monitored screens, watching explosions and fires erupt across the planet. "They are attacking in ways we cannot predict," one envoy said, his voice tight. "They are evolving," said the eldest member of the council, watching from orbit. "Their instincts, they are perfecting themselves under pressure." "Increase energy shields," another envoy barked. But outside, Elena's team moved faster than the technology could respond. Soldiers scaled walls, slipped past laser grids, and struck with precise blows. They weren't thinking, they were acting on instinct, moving like predators in perfect synchronization. Elena reached the ship's control core. A massive console pulsed with energy. She could feel the hum through the floor, but she didn't hesitate. She set explosives at strategic points, following the designs she had memorized from the stolen alien schematics. A patrol drone appeared, scanning the room. Elena waited. The instinct inside her guided every step. She dodged, rolled, and struck, dismantling the drone with perfect timing. Sparks flew. Tom's voice came through her earpiece. "Elena, we're taking fire." She grinned. "Good. That means they're afraid." Outside, human teams continued to strike. Coastal cities erupted with light and fire as humans toppled alien outposts and destroyed supply hubs. Civilians, soldiers, and resistance fighters fought side by side, instinct and strategy fused into something terrifying. The Council's ships faltered, struggling to respond. Their calm, precise attacks were no longer enough. Humans were unpredictable, adaptive, relentless. Inside the cruiser, alarms blared. Envoys were panicked. They are too fast, one gasped. Our shields, they cannot hold. The eldest member of the council floated forward, eyes narrowed. Then, we escalate everything. Activate the superwave. A massive pulse of energy built within the cruiser, designed to wipe out all human resistance in a single strike. But Elena had anticipated this. She and her team leapt from panel to panel, triggering the explosives. Blue conduits sparked, energy hummed dangerously, and alarms screamed. In a heartbeat, the superwave was disrupted, shattering in a cascade of arcs and explosions. The cruiser rocked violently. Sparks rained down. Envoys tumbled, powerless. Outside, the humans cheered silently, moving in calculated chaos to avoid falling debris. Ships above began to fail, one by one. A massive cruiser tilted, its engines failing, and then it crashed into the ocean with a thunderous explosion. Elena stood on the shore, watching the flames reflect in the water. Soldiers and civilians around her were breathing hard, faces streaked with sweat and ash. They had done the impossible. Tom's voice was shaky. We actually did it. We beat them. Elena's eyes were cold, fierce. Not just beat them. We reminded them who humans are. We're not weak. We're not obedient. We're predators. Far above, the council convened in orbit. Ships were falling. Systems were failing. Humans were no longer prey, they were hunters. The eldest member's voice was low, almost incredulous. They are evolving faster than we can respond. Their instincts, they are perfecting themselves. Another envoy whispered, panicked, "What do we do? We can't contain them." The eldest member looked out at the burning planet below. Then, we prepare for war. The war we never imagined. Against a species that cannot be tamed. Against predators. On Earth, humans began to gather. Survivors from cities and towns moved to the resistance camps. They shared skills, information, and instinctive knowledge. Fires still burned, but humanity had found its rhythm. Survival was no longer enough. They were learning to dominate, to hunt, to strike with precision. Elena stood in the center of the camp, looking out over the assembled humans. Soldiers sharpened their weapons, hunters shared their techniques, civilians prepared traps and defenses. She whispered, almost to herself, "They woke something they cannot control. And we will not stop until every last one of them understands fear." Above, the remnants of the council fleet regrouped, their ships battered, their confidence shattered. And on Earth, humanity waited. Because predators do not wait to be hunted. Predators strike first. And the hunt had only just begun. The council's fleet had regrouped in orbit, battered but far from defeated. Ships floated like wounded beasts, their silver hulls scarred from human attacks. They had underestimated Earth, underestimated its people, and underestimated the predator that had always lain dormant in humanity's heart. Elena stood atop a ridge, overlooking a valley where resistance fighters prepared for the largest strike yet. Fires burned in the distance, illuminating soldiers, engineers, and civilians moving with a deadly efficiency. No one spoke unnecessarily, every movement was precise, instinct guiding each decision. Tom approached, eyes wide. "Elena, do you think we can really take them on in space?" She didn't turn. Her gaze was fixed on the night sky, where silver ships shimmered against the stars. "We don't fight them like humans usually fight," she said softly. "We fight like predators. And predators adapt, faster than prey can imagine." The plan was audacious. Humanity's best pilots, engineers, and fighters would take to the sky in commandeered craft, while ground teams prepared traps and distractions. The Council would expect retaliation, but not coordination on this scale. Not instinct-driven precision. When the first human ships launched, the Council scrambled. Energy pulses lit the atmosphere, scanning for threats. But the humans moved unpredictably, diving and weaving, coordinated by instinct and silent signals. Inside the main Council command ship, envoys panicked. They are attacking everywhere at once. The eldest member of the Council floated to the observation window, eyes narrowing. They are learning, adapting. We've never encountered anything like this. In orbit, humans struck with terrifying precision. Explosions rocked enemy cruisers as pilots relied on instinct over technology, anticipating movements and strikes before the Council could react. Meanwhile, on Earth, ground teams executed ambushes. Alien supply hubs, communication arrays, and energy nodes were destroyed with calculated ferocity. Civilians guided soldiers through traps, hunters helped engineers dismantle drones, and resistance fighters moved like shadows in the smoke and fire. Every attack reinforced one truth: humans were no longer prey. They were predators. Elena's team boarded a crippled cruiser drifting near the planet's surface. Inside, envoys tried to regain control, their perfect coordination failing against instinct-driven humans. A silver-skinned envoy lunged at Elena, but her reflexes were lightning fast. She dodged, grabbed a control rod, and struck with precise force. Sparks flew. Panels exploded. Alarms rang. Tom followed, taking down another envoy with a single, perfectly aimed strike. This is insane, he gasped, adrenaline pumping. Elena's eyes gleamed. No. This is what we were meant to be. In orbit, the Council unleashed their final weapon, a massive energy cannon designed to obliterate the planet. Entire continents could be scorched in minutes. The eldest member's voice was calm, almost clinical. If we cannot control them, we will erase them. But humanity had anticipated this. Pilots guided missiles and drones to strike the weapon's core. Engineers on Earth sent targeted EMP pulses. Every move was coordinated, instinct and strategy fused into lethal precision. When the first shot from the Council's cannon fired, it hit nothing but air. Humans had moved before it could land. The weapon overloaded, exploding in a brilliant flash. Several cruisers were destroyed in the chain reaction. The Council reeled in disbelief. Elena stood on the bridge of the captured cruiser, looking out at the chaos above Earth. Ships were falling, drones exploding, energy shields collapsing. Humanity had turned the tide. Tom looked around, awe and fear mixed in his eyes. They're losing. After everything. Elena's smile was cold, predatory. They underestimated us. They thought instinct was primitive. They thought fear could control us. But instincts are survival. Fear sharpens, strengthens, makes predators deadly. On Earth, humans cheered silently. Fires burned, but victory was not yet complete. They moved with caution, instincts guiding them to anticipate the Council's next strike. Civilians became scouts, soldiers became hunters, and the awakened became a single, unstoppable force. In orbit, the Council watched, unable to respond effectively. Their fleet was fractured. Their weapons failing. Their once commanding authority on a fragile species had collapsed. The eldest member's voice was low, almost reverent. They were meant to obey, but they have awakened. They are no longer prey. They are predators. And predators cannot be contained. Elena stood on a cliff overlooking the city they had saved. Fires still glowed, smoke twisted into the night sky, and the hum of dying ships echoed faintly in the distance. Tom approached. So, what happens now? Elena's gaze was sharp, predatory, unyielding. Now, we finish what they started. They awoke something inside us. Now we decide what to do with it. We are predators. And no one will ever control us again. Somewhere above Earth, the Council realized a terrifying truth. A species they had assumed fragile, obedient, and primitive had become the deadliest predator in the galaxy. And humanity had only just begun the hunt. The remnants of the Council fleet hung over Earth like wounded beasts. Ships burned, silver hulls twisted, energy shields flickering. For the first time in galactic history, humanity controlled the battlefield. The Awakened had grown, adapted, and perfected their instincts. They were no longer hiding. They were hunting. Elena stood on the edge of a cliff, overlooking a massive plain where humans gathered. Pilots, soldiers, hunters, engineers, civilians. Fires painted the horizon in orange and red, smoke swirling in the night air. Every human present was alert, breathing with quiet precision, muscles coiled and ready. Tom joined her, eyes wide. This is insane. We've never faced anything like this before. Elena smiled, sharp and predatory. Neither have they. The final plan was brutal, precise, and instinct-driven. The largest council ship, the command flagship, remained in orbit, coordinating what was left of their forces. It was massive, a fortress in the sky. Its energy shield pulsed like a heartbeat. The Council believed it could still crush humanity. They were wrong. From Earth, humans launched their combined strike. Pilots dove through orbital debris, dodging laser fire and energy pulses with instinctive precision. Ground teams detonated traps to draw ships closer to human positions. Civilians guided soldiers, scouts spotted weak points, and every movement was synchronized with outspoken commands. Elena led the main assault team toward the command flagship. Every step she took, every glance, every calculation, was instinct guiding action. Inside the flagship, the Council's envoys panicked. Screens flashed red. Ships in orbit were falling. Ground forces were dismantling their networks faster than they could adapt. They are hunting, one envoy whispered, horrified. The eldest member of the Council floated to the main observation deck. His eyes scanned Earth below. They have become predators. They are no longer prey. We miscalculated the one thing we could never predict. Instinct. Another envoy said in fear, we can still fire the supercannon. One strike could. Too late, the eldest member interrupted, his tone cold, almost defeated. They are already inside. They are everywhere. Elena's team infiltrated the command ship with terrifying precision. Every step, every strike, every movement was a predator's dance. Envoys lunged, but humans reacted before thought. Panels were ripped apart. Energy conduits destroyed. Alarms screamed. Tom took down an envoy with a single, precise blow. He stared at the figure on the floor, breathless. They never stood a chance. Elena moved to the central control room. The main console pulsed with energy, the heart of the flagship. She struck, sending sparks flying. Systems overloaded. Power surges rocked the ship. Explosions echoed through the corridors. Outside, human pilots dove through the sky with supernatural reflexes. Ships collided, evaded, struck with uncanny coordination. The Council's fleet was crumbling. Every remaining cruiser faltered. Energy cannons misfired. Drones fell from the sky like insects. Across Earth, ground teams attacked remaining hubs, completing the annihilation of the Council's infrastructure. Civilians and soldiers worked as one. Instinct drove them faster, smarter, deadlier. On the bridge, the eldest member of the Council stared at the chaos in disbelief. They were meant to obey. We were supposed to control them. And yet, they have turned everything against us. Another envoy spoke, trembling. They are perfect predators. Their instincts. They are humans, the eldest member finished. And they are unstoppable. The flagship erupted in flames as Elena triggered the final series of explosives. Smoke, fire, and energy arcs consumed the ship. Pilots above and teams below watched as the command center of the Council fleet was obliterated. Ships tumbled into the atmosphere, crashing in firestorms that lit the night sky. Tom stared at the destruction, awe and disbelief on his face. We won. Elena's eyes were cold and fierce. We didn't just win. We reminded them what humans are. Predators, hunters, survivors, and predators always finish the hunt. Across Earth, humans emerged from hiding, cautious but confident. Cities were in ruin, but instinct and survival had rebuilt them stronger. Fires still burned, but no one panicked. They moved with purpose. They hunted. Above the planet, the Council's remnants fled the system, scattered and broken. For the first time in millennia, a species the Council thought fragile had turned the tables completely. Elena stood atop a mountain, looking down at the world she had helped lead. Pilots returned from the skies. Soldiers returned from the battlefield. Civilians returned from hiding. All carried the same truth. Instinct had awakened, and humanity had embraced it fully. She whispered, almost to herself, "They thought we were weak. They thought we had forgotten. They were wrong. Always wrong." Somewhere in the stars, the eldest member of the Council floated, silent and defeated. He realized the terrifying truth. Humanity had evolved beyond obedience, beyond control, beyond fear. They were predators. And predators could never be caged. On Earth, Elena turned to her team. "This is our world now. And anyone who dares challenge us will face the hunt." The wind whipped across the mountain top. Fires burned in the distance. Humanity had risen. Humanity had awakened. And the galaxy would never forget it. The end.